And welcome to Truth in Telecoms. Johnny, you look in a really bad state.
Look what the Viz did to me. He went after me. I get a knock on my door.
hmm
There's some guy with patents, and he starts opening them up, and he starts hitting me with the patents because Viz said, patents are for the weak.
That's
So
true.
I caught a beating because of the
Yeah,
Viz.
it looks bad, especially the one on your glasses.
I got 40 lashes because it didn't take 40 patents.
Well, it was a fun podcast. It revealed a lot of truths, and it was great to have one of the leaders in the SMS aggregation business basically backing up and confirming so much of we've said over the past year or so.
I don't look at him as a leader. I look at him as the only game in town. He re-engineered his business. He
Yep.
had the vision to foresee what was going on.
Yep.
I don't think he admitted he didn't see RCS coming. He
hmm
didn't think that would come together with Apple. I think a lot of people got blindsided. I mean, a lot of people, out of the analysts that you talked to, I mean, even Dean Bubbly, who we all admire, brilliant. He never thought it would come. I never thought it would come. I never thought Apple would buck, but they did. But
Well, yes, it's not completely clear yet on how far they've gone down the road on, rich business messaging. So, there's still a lot to come. I mean, we are making progress. The P2P case is
it's pretty
clear.
clear when you go to the campaign registry's website and what did you say? They tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this spin, and we have to see on the ground how it's going to perform. I mean, it will roll out. I think, we'll be hearing from some of the clips with Robert as he plays out how things are going to happen in the
Yeah.
messaging business.
And one thing I want to talk about. So now we've got the Viz now with us at TAT Summit. He'll probably hide from us for a while. We'll have to catch up to him again.
Yeah.
And then we've got, vCon Vinnie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Alan Quayle with Thomas McCarthy Howe created a white paper years ago. Thomas was with Strollin.
Yeah.
Vinnie had this concept of vCon, which is pretty funny in Italian, figuring out a way to ethically put wiretapping information into one place. So kudos to Vinnie on that.
Yeah.
But and the whole industry is talking about it. I mean, Jeff Holdner is obviously been around for years, legend.
Yep.
He's out there speaking about it, writing papers. I mean, your friends over there at CPaaS AA are out there, and people are speaking there. And nobody mentioned the fact that you helped write the white paper, and you've been part of that team as well. And you've been out there helping vCon Vinnie. We did our first Truth and Telecoms podcast with him.
Yep.
So, look, we've got some positives here. We've got the Viz going into an IPO in the USA, which I'm excited about, and everybody should be excited about. And we got vCon Vinnie and Strollin and Thomas McCarthy Howe, and now
a community
it seems like
of developers that are building on it as well. So it's in people's hands. That's a great thing.
You got people in the industry taking notice, and you got people in the industry talking about it and trying to figure out how they can monetize it. So it's pretty exciting.
Yes.
With those guys. And I'm, like I said, I was confused at the beginning with it. Obviously, I looked at it a certain way, but it's pretty groundbreaking. I think Jeff's right. I think you've been right. And I think I'm starting to see the light on it. Takes me a while to catch up and figure things out. I'm a little slower than the average guy, but it's just good to see good people do well, good straight shooters.
Exactly.
For a change, do well.
Oh, yeah.
But
and I love what Dave Horton did with the Champions. He took one of the winners from TADAC Open in March, and they did a project over the summer in getting, vCon working with that open source project. I mean, there's still a bit more work to do, but
Dave Horton's been a legend for 30 years. From building switching platforms. I mean, guy's been around forever. He's just an amazing talent.
That's right.
We got to hook him up with the Viz one day. Viz will get confused. He'll confuse you, Viz. Smart guy, Dave Horton. He knows his stuff.
But shall we move on to some of the shorts?
Look, I think it was a historic podcast for the industry.
Yes.
Where, he just,
just laid it out, and we covered
Floored
so
us.
many
He
topics.
floored us. He floored me.
So let's hear from the first one then. So this is actually what we were just talking about, which is Google, Apple, and RCS will be the end of the SMS industry.
RCS and Apple come together. Where do you see the campaign registry? Why do you need it?
You don't.
Exactly. Heck, you don't need
There
it.
is no more
They're trying to sell it right now for $200+ million.
Oh no!
Right now.
The industry will move. This is what's going to happen. One day, they're all going to wake up, get their sleep out of their eyes. It could be like this, and and the industry will have moved from left to right overnight.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is no need. There's no need. There's no need for hubs. There's no need for SMS. There's no need for these things aren't necessary anymore. If you are a pre-approved or approved brand by Apple or by Google or by the carrier, and they will probably do if you're they're bypassing all this technology. I mean, in fairness to Google, and I've been one of the
very frank. Now it will take some time. It's not going to be an overnight. But I think the way that Robert presents it, in terms of at some point, people will just wake up, and the fact that I just need to work with Apple and Google and its global coverage.
Look, the time is here. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's like the funny thing, the campaign registry, right? Look at their website, transforming the RCS and SMS ecosystem.
Yeah.
Do you think Google needs you? Campaign registry for anything? Comical.
Yeah, exactly.
They're definitely, otherwise they would have bought it already.
Yes.
And I was told a few years ago that by a carrier that they would buy it, but they wouldn't buy it because they're running a process. Exactly. How do I know? Because I've talked to a bunch of private equity groups that are doing diligence because Lazard put it out in the market.
Yep.
Campaign registry boys and Tata, who likes to beat up on Air Force majors. By the way, depositions are coming for you guys, and trying to sell this thing for hundreds of millions of dollars. Funny thing, I heard even in the deck they put CTIA whatever mandated or whatever. CTIA didn't give you guys anything. CTIA gave it to iConnected.
Yeah.
There's you guys in AT&T that went out and did it all alone. How do I know? Well, I happen to know the other co-founder, the original co-founder, by the way, Bill Peters, the original co-founder. You guys jumped on when I was working with Hook. When I had Iris, they were talking about this back then. But hey, there's no need for the campaign registry, and so yeah, that's going to be fun. And look, hubs. I mean, Cineverse has already gotten their 10 DLC.
Yes.
Sold. You got to go through Infobit
for T-Mobile. Yeah.
Heads up, good for you, Infobit. The Infobit's handling that traffic. I mean, Cineverse just keeps putting out deals they made with Oracle. Twilio is just dying. I mean, their stock is just dying. They can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
Other than they're basically printing money for themselves, the executives. So good for you guys, executives. Get your money while you can. But the future is Bird. The future is vCon. The future is right here at TAD Summit.
But also part of it is the carriers are taking control, because T-Mobile said, we've had enough of you, and basically brought in Infobit. So we're seeing carriers now forming partnerships where it would just be Cinch and Cineverse. Now, Infobit's in there.
Like this says, you don't need hubs. Yeah. You don't need SMS. You don't need anything. And it all remains an information service.
Yes.
That's the key. Unregulated in the USA. Because the carriers, the last thing they want to do is be regulated like they are for voice.
Yeah. And
that's just not a place they want to go because, look, I mean, look at these big tech companies. I mean, they're not big tech companies, carriers. I mean, look, the phones, Apple and Google, the operating systems, yada, 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 yada. Yeah. What do they have less? The service. Yeah. The quality of service, right? They have, they have the customers. Yes. And service is definitely getting better. My neck of the woods, but yeah, no, look, it's a lot of people have been agreeing. I got one founder raised $250 million in the space. Mm-hmm. He agrees with Viz. Yeah. So I'm getting guys that have big money behind them saying, yeah, we agree. And then we get some people that are in denial. And my answer to those people in denial is, show me one market cap from 3 years ago that hasn't gone down by 75% or more. Show me one company that's got an investment by saying, we're a CPaaS company. Oh, we're doing SMS. Just, it's not there. Even the what is it? Telco consult, global telco, because Tech University
GTC.
guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
GTC.
GTC. Even those guys and Eddie and going into identity and different spaces. They bought your friend Guillermo. What's his name? Julie. What's the guy's name? Bousy.
Guillaume.
Guillaume. Ufti got some votes. And most sexiest. You got a couple of votes. So GTC's on the. You got to play my Goombella video, which I've gotten thousands and thousands of views on. But yeah, I mean, Bird, you're just ahead of the game.
Yeah,
play another short.
The next one, which is SMS firewall equals money laundering. Now, this, we had so many comments and feedback. Again, broad agreement, and I think people are just happy light being shone on what's going on. So let's hear from Robert.
I never wanted to get to the firewall industry. I think that is all the firewall people should be.
It's not firewall, it's money laundering.
Yes, fill in the blank. So like, it's just, it's one of those things. Does it make money? Yes, it does. And I've had multiple people on my team who forever were like, why are we not doing this? You know, because if we would do this, we would do such a good job and we could do it like, you know, legitimately. But I never wanted to get into that industry because it's the biggest corruption in the world.
Correct.
You basically get a carrier, who with relatively good intentions just say, I want you to block my network because, you know, I'm getting all these free messaging in from all these brands and I want you to block them. Then almost all provided a few legitimate ones, but almost everybody that went into that industry were also the dodgy ones in the industry who went to brands and they just said, oh, we'll pay you $1 million up front. Or we'll do this. Or we'll do that. And the carriers just went, oh yeah, thank you. You know, so thank you for doing it.
So very frank.
Point blank. And then he gets into explaining, if you get a chance to go watch the podcast, the full podcast, Viz, which now YouTube has banned us all our videos after, I think, 10,000 views for being distributed more. So guys, you're going to have to go and find it yourself, but you really should if you're in the industry or you're looking to see where things are going. I mean, look, the firewall business, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these prepayments, they went from 1 million to now, you know, talking $30 million upwards,
it's crazy.
going into operators, and you've got everybody pointing fingers at everybody. And look, they're all doing it.
Yes,
I think a lot of them have to do it. Viz just he like I said, he disrupted his own business.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he had the wherewithal, and he raised $1 billion+ and has partners that saw his vision.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's a dirty business. It's not going to stop.
Yeah, and what's shocking is some of the biggest AIT generators are on the MEF, are signed up to their sort of code of conduct for business messaging. It shows that code of conduct means absolutely nothing.
No, the code of conduct is you pay the king, and look, Gertrude's on that board. Gertrude's the chairman. We know what goes on in these organizations. We did a hit piece on us that you put out.
Yep.
With Rick on the campaign registry when we were screaming about that. And,
yeah,
you know, Dario, the Italians over in Calera, they ran away with millions of dollars. Avi Katz ran away with $7 billion in 5 SPACs. I mean, Bert, you got to come to America. Yeah. If you just do a bust out over here, you run away with your money, nothing happens. Just hire the right lawyers. You're out the door. So, I mean, he's shedding a light on it. He doesn't like it because he's got to pay higher terminations, but it's not going to stop.
Well, I mean, again, in the Truth in ADP SMS, we shared a number of methods. So like with Daniel Gill, like carriers taking control, like, BT Group. Now, yes, there are teething issues, but carriers are aligned with customers, because it's customers, whether it's businesses, whether it's consumers, are paying carriers for these PSTN services. So they positively don't want to have their customers complaining about these services. And especially here in North America, PSTN services have become the worst they've ever been with robocalling and all the spam SMS. So, again, I think there's ways that this can be made better. It's just
I don't see an end in sight for that. I mean, I love. Look, I don't think Apple and Google are going to put up with it.
No, absolutely not.
And they have the resources to do it. So I think the carriers, look, don't make no mistake about it. Google paid millions. They're paying millions of dollars a month for Verizon for years.
Yeah.
They're paying their way in, and they're buying the real estate. And you know what? I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching this Cinch piece this morning on how amazing RCS is with the brand and the logo, and I'm like, you're actually promoting your own death.
Yes.
I don't get that. But again, look, there's a scramble right now for connections.
Yes.
You hear about RCS connections. You hear about throughput. You hear about, the 10 DLC stuff. Cineverse has a problem with T-Mobile for years. And T-Mobile, they don't play around. They're the number one market cap company in the world. Yeah. They have eaten. They were almost bankrupt 10 years ago. Go look at their stock chart from 10 years ago.
Yeah,
no better run company than T-Mobile in telecom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not even close. I mean, what they've accomplished here in 10 years.
Absolutely.
And they've had it because they've had it. And then we can get into SIM swaps and all the other types of fraud. But look, I think it's a positive in a positive direction.
Yep.
Things have to change. They can't stay the way they are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, who picks up the phone anymore?
Yep,
I can't tell you how many different calls that people don't pick up for doctor's appointments or this or that. It's just...
Exactly. Oh yeah. A number of businesses I talk to who are so frustrated. But let's move on to the next of the Viz short.
We stopped automatic onboarding in the United States many, many years ago. Why did we do that? Because it essentially meant that we would allow fraud, because it's like that's what happens if you allow people to use your API and so all this sort of stuff. That obviously significantly hurt my business, because I could have been a much larger business if I did it. So I don't disagree with you, because I would just say, like, I've experienced it myself, how tough it is to build a business when your competitor is onboarding customers in the tens and hundreds of thousands. And by that definition, and customers would hate us because they would say, oh, but Bert, you're so difficult to work with because we need pre-approval and we need to send all these documents and we need to do all these sort of things. So it's like really hard.
Again, Bert is sharing a very frank, he had to make a hard decision that impacted his business material.
Yeah, either scam grandma to death, like Twilio, and then go out and have to buy Cineverse, ZipWhip, prepay the campaign registry in order to keep the grift going. Yeah. Scamming. Yeah. Just scamming grandma, allowing it to happen. They can't stop. They got to keep going. So, I mean, who would do what he did, right?
Exactly.
He could have been flying after he raised money there at Y Combinator. I mean, he raised money with Sam Altman.
Yes.
Who was at Y Combinator at the time. So this guy knows what he's doing. And like I said, one thing a friend of mine said to me, he goes, this guy from America? I'm like, why? He goes, he speaks perfect English. Now, a lot of people can speak good English coming over here. Yeah. You can't even tell he has an accent. A buddy of mine told me, he goes, so the kid's really smart. The kid's he's just a breath of fresh air.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always said that the Dutch speak English better than the English.
I never heard that. I stay away from the people. Dutch as much as I can.
But it is, again, I think it just shows.
I get beat up in Band-Aids from your friends.
Well, that's the German side of things. But again, it shows that moral compass in terms of we must protect the customers, full stop. Or not?
His moral compass is off the charts.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's listen to the next one. So this is moving on to, I think this is a fun one for you, Johnny.
FinTech was like the golden company. Yep. This was the company that had it all figured out. It was super hard to get a connection to them.
That's when I got suckered in.
They had all the nice deals. I think what happened is, and you see that a lot in this industry, and like, look, after I came on your podcast and we lowered price, and you saw the whole battle with one of our competitors.
Yeah.
They went. I mean, it's wild, right? Like they went and accused us of fraud. I was like, this is like the craziest thing in the world.
Well, that's the number one thing. And when it comes to America, that's what people do.
And they backed out. And I mean, they backed down out of it very quickly because they were like, probably not worth fighting with us. But like, it's and imagine, I know all these people, right? It's like I've been to drinks with, like, we all know each other. The problem is, it's really hard to disrupt your own business.
Yeah,
that's just a hard thing to do, because you have to disbelief your own beliefs.
The gold standard. Poor Johnny.
in defense of Thorsten, he didn't care. One time we were looking to raise money. We had to wait 3 months for him to finish a patent, which the Viz likes to call it, what, patents are for the week?
Correct.
Patents are for the week? Patents
Yes.
are for the week? Yeah, put that short in there. Look, he doesn't care. Like I said, the podcast doesn't care about money. He's going to buy out Scipio for $1. He don't care. He'll build a shrine to himself. And, you know, I spoke to the guys from Vox Solutions. I was trying to get them. They didn't want to call him back.
Yeah.
Because Vox Solutions would have been a great acquisition because they could have went gangbusters with and firewall business and all that other stuff with Thorsten through a German company. I mean, it would have been a great buy for them. So Scipio Partners, if you're out there, they didn't even talk to Vox Solutions. They did talk to Secura after we had a podcast. I heard that went down. I spoke to Mark.
Yeah.
And obviously it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Thorsten just wants you to give him money so he can buy out his partners. And then he's got all these, I don't even know what he's got. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, but the Vince
he still has a great platform. We still have a great platform.
Oh, yeah.
I still argue with the Viz that Tintech's platform is better, but it doesn't really matter at this point, does it?
No, and the key is
away.
It's only if you do not have the mobile core. So if you have that gap, then absolutely Tintech makes sense. But again, there's open source.
And Tintech only raised, $25 million from Scipio at the end of the day. So for them, he didn't have any money because he wants to own like a large percentage of nothing instead of a smaller percentage of something. Where Jeff Lawson, whatever you may think of him, owned 3% of Twilio and is a billionaire.
Yes.
Now, granted, he's a billionaire on a Ponzi, he's a billionaire on grift, whatever you want to call it, but he's still a billionaire. And he got out the door and he's going to get away with it. And nothing's going to happen. And now you got the accountant in there, which, by the way, I saw that movie, The Accountant. This guy Kazima, he could be like that guy in that movie. You ever see that movie with Ben Affleck? He's like an accountant and he loses his money, starts shooting people. So we got to take it easy with this accountant guy who's blocked me, by the way, because he doesn't like the truth. And Mr. Accountant Twilio, if we really cared that much, we would just put all this stuff online, which we don't. We have our YouTube channel. The people in the industry know. But you're a short, and you've been a short. And all your CPaaS companies are short, and you're not growing anywhere.
No,
and
exactly.
To even short it is tough right now. I mean, so they can't get out of their own way.
Oh, yeah. But it's, and we discussed it with Robert in that the business fundamentally changed back in 2021, 2022 when they bought those aggregators. Before it was, as I said, SaaS-esque. It wasn't a true SaaS company, but
they invested in Cineverse, they invested in ZipWhip, and they prepaid campaign registry in order to keep spamming.
Yes.
Right. So I think T-Mobile had enough and said, look, enough is enough.
Yeah.
How many people are going to get hurt? So they're scrambling what to do. Like these mobile operators, they count on whether it be, the Cineverse or whether it be the firewall or whatever. Maybe they count on these companies in their ecosystem to do what's right. And we've called it. It's a sewer.
Yeah.
And look, they made the money while they could.
Yep.
There's going to be consolidation. I agree with the Viz on that in some way, but consolidating to what? Putting together a bunch of rocks and making a rock pipe. So where is the future growth? Again, I look at things differently. Some of these companies make money. They're going to be around. They have some money in the bank. I mean, Twilio still got billions of dollars in the bank, although they just keep doing buybacks, and the stock doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I will. As you said on the podcast, at least it's not going down. They're keeping it flat by spending the money.
Well, it's gonna happen soon. They're gonna have to start firing people. I mean, Cisco just fired 17,000 people.
Yes,
on the stock going up. I'm reporting great numbers. So the next cycle is going to be letting people go, and that's what's going to start happening in the industry.
Absolutely.
And look, there's I don't know how many millions of jobs available in cybersecurity. I tell people in the industry, start transitioning over to the cybersecurity space.
Exactly.
Because that's just insane. It's growing. I mean, there's a need for 4 million jobs right now.
Yes.
Just in the USA.
Yeah.
So that's a place that I think people who are listening should start looking.
Yeah.
Or get a job at Bird. Or figure out how to make money with Vinnie vCon.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of opportunities, but it's outside of what, people that like to call themselves CPaaS, and also within telco, we're seeing
CPaaS is a
significant-
word that's made up just a few years
Oh,
back, and these
exactly.
people are smart. We have some of the smartest people in any industry in telecom with
Yeah.
messaging and CPaaS. These are smart people, right? They're a lot of the. I know a lot of these guys as you do. I mean, you've been running hackathons now. How many smart guys? How many smart developers? How many smart guys are working at these companies? They just need to evolve.
Exactly.
They need to go into what's going tomorrow. But
Exactly.
there's no investment.
Yeah.
There's $110 billion lost in Wall
Yep.
Street, and you can't get arrested saying, "Give me some money, or let me
Yep.
recap my company."
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So.
Yep. So let's move
I
on.
was a Cinch customer and I had to go to that login screen and see 30 different brands to choose from to log in for because nobody ever brought all the platforms together. I would just be like, maybe they should focus there first. Sorry,
they
I
don't
don't mean to jab. I don't mean to jab them.
But look, they don't care. They made their money. You have to understand something. These guys made their money. They hired.
I think what's going to happen, which is not something that I would like, but I think this is what's going to happen. My prediction would be, at some point, these companies are going to consolidate. And it won't be us. I will guarantee you that. I will go on the record and say I'm not buying any of them. I'm definitely not consolidating with them. I mean, I don't have the money. I'm never giving them any of my shares. Like, this will never happen. But so I won't be the one. But I think if you're a large public company or still a private company, I think what will happen is you will consolidate and they will create a big group. And there's some anti-competitiveness there. So I think, like actual regulators, not fake ones.
Very clear vision in terms of consolidation has to happen for those companies still using the CPaaS label rather than focusing on enterprise applications.
Well, to his point on Cinch bought all these companies.
Yes.
Why? Because they got money from SoftBank. They said we're a CPaaS company. They got up to a $20 billion market cap.
Yes.
And they started buying things. I mean, they hired Doug Gardner from Twilio to come in and help on some acquisitions. These guys made a boatload of money. Yeah. Robert's a chief evangelist. You guys don't have to worry. I mean, but they're trading at one times revenue.
Yes.
And they're marketing RCS. So maybe there's some kind of a deal or something with them and Google, because they're banging RCS to death. It's not here, but you've got Cinch, number 2 company, according to them, in CPaaS, SMS. Yeah. Banging RCS. Yeah. Campaign registry, RCS, even though Google's not talking to you guys because you're clowns. And, InfoBip is integrated. So I think there's going to be a place. And that's something, that's really something for you and Viz and the rest of the guys in the industry and some of the guys that are sending me messages to figure out. But from a financial standpoint, it's over. Yeah. But when Viz comes out and does an IPO, and we'll get to his next short on how profitable he is and his EBITDA, and that changes the game. Then you're going to see people going that way. And like he said in the podcast, enterprises don't care what you call yourself. Exactly. They just care about getting to their customer. Exactly. And that was very insightful in terms of, look, it doesn't matter about your technology lead, being 1,000 times better. It's just, do you solve the problem that the enterprise cares about? So let's. But he might drop Cinch. He's like, hey, maybe you guys should put your platform together instead of calling me a fraud. So exactly, and we see that it's like GoDaddy, and he did nominate the Christian guy as most sexiest. Yes, he did. Absolutely. Yeah. So I don't know. Weird relationships. Let's go to the next one.
SparkPost is the largest email sender in the world. So it does about 40% of all global B2B email. Yeah. So SendGrid and Mailgun, they were quite big as well, and they have a lot of developers, and they have a lot of revenue. But if the metric was amount of emails sent on a yearly basis, we would whoop the shit out of both of them all day, every day. So if you think about the industry that we come from like a wholesale side, basically being the platform that enabled Twilio and back then Nexmo and a bunch of all these other folks that, used our platform to basically go global, that in its core, these identities were actually very similar. Because Spark was a wholesale email provider and we were a wholesale telecom provider. So that's why we love them so much. And SparkPost is actually the backbone to almost every company that you know. So if you want to talk about brands in the United States, We have most of the entire Fortune 500.
We were out talking about Zillow. And how did you get that? Well,
And
SparkPost.
Zillow. So I mean, all these brands are already using him, and he's integrating the communications, right?
Exactly.
And the applications.
Yep.
So
across
whoever
email,
you think your
messaging,
whoever you
or
think
whatever.
your customer may be, may not be going forward. You know what I mean? It's it's pretty staggering how he bought that acquisition back then,
Yes,
and is now transcending it
yeah,
into where he's at.
Oh yeah.
So
well, Twilio were one of the first with SendGrid, but I think it's very smart what Bird did.
listen, I'm answering a couple of ads I see for employees for Bird. I'm saying, do they have stock options? Are there stock options there? So all you guys that make millions of dollars at Twilio, hit the Bird.
Yep, absolutely. And then let's finish off on the one that was surprising, given some of the people that like to kick birds. So just share.
If you're much more focused on customers long term, you have built something sustainable that is growing sustainable, that is good. I think you have something very valuable that you can do. And we have all the metrics. We're profitable. We're growing. So we don't worry too much there. But we still have to prove out
you're
our
profitable.
CRM
You're not supposed to be profitable, really.
We do higher EBIT margins than I think anybody in this industry has ever seen.
Wow. A lot of guys in the industry say that. It's funny how many people poke at you guys behind your backs, but that's okay. Keep it up. You know who I'm
we have more.
about.
We have cash in the bank. We generate.
Is it a non-GAAP profitable like Twilio? Non-GAAP?
No, we paid taxes last year.
That was a joke. Non-GAAP. Non-GAAP profitable. Non-GAAP profitability.
We actually paid taxes, so that's on a GAAP basis.
But you're a company out of Netherlands. Of course, you pay taxes when you get up and breathe.
To get that dig in.
It's the truth. That's why he's leaving. But I mean, look, here's a guy that's coming out and telling you, I got the highest margins in the industry. I have the biggest email company in the industry. I've reconfigured my business. Yes. How can you sit here and listen to us and not, as an investor, just forget if you're working for another company, or if your company's being disrupted or whatever, everything in life begins and everything in life ends.
Yes.
I got my money on Bird being around for a long, long time because he's building it long term.
Exactly.
And he's not short-sighted. And he did disrupt his own business. But, you're talking about his access to every Fortune 500 company through his email. He's got a new age CRM, right? Mm-hmm. And he's profitable.
Oh, yeah.
And he's leaving Europe. Yeah. If you stayed in Europe, he would have a hard time flying anyhow. Although some companies have done well over there, Spotify and whatever. Very few.
Yeah, few, definitely.
But look, it's also a crowded space that he's heading into. But I think him coming from this industry, and I bet on him. Like I told him, how do you not bet on that guy?
Yeah.
How do you not bet on that guy? So
exactly. Yeah. And it's very focused SaaS play. I mean, he refers to it as a new age CRM, but really it's the enterprise applications are his integration layer, and being flexible so that, if you just want the email piece, or you want particular workflows, or you want a converged messaging offer, you pick a mix to what you require. So he's not trying to be everything to everybody. It's where he's got his strengths, and email and messaging and the workflows around there, customer data platform and the rest. He can just fit in to many different businesses. So I think it's a very interesting, category that he's creating.
It's amazing. I remember years ago when I first did a deal with Tintac, we were in Vegas, and I met somebody from MessageBird at the time. And I went and told Nicola, I'm like, hey, this company MessageBird, they're nothing, they're small. And I was talking to them, like, why don't you guys go to California and raise money? Just like, why don't you just out there raising money in the US? They did. I was not listening to me. I don't even know who I talked to over there. But I remember hearing about it back then, like, we're Tintac.
I know.
Didn't work out too good for us.
Yeah, there's no opinion like self-opinion. And it's the number of times I've heard, well, they're just a dirty grey root provider. They're down in the noise. But I see thought leadership. I see, and he says it many times through the podcast, the focus on long-term customer value. Rather than, we have an API, that long-term customer value.
Anybody's in the industry has got to watch the full 90-minute this podcast. We're going to be doing this for weeks because I think there's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
And, we'll be doing some stuff with Vinnie vCons and which because everybody's getting behind that and couldn't be a night. And our boy Ken Heron's there.
Yes.
And, Thomas McCarthy, your buddy is as brilliant as ever. And
Absolutely.
look, I love to see, a positive excitement.
Yes, sir.
And then you've got all these identity products. What I love is there's 100 identity companies, right? Except everybody's getting defrauded.
Yes.
So where's these identity products? What do they do? Like, what are they actually doing? You've got all these companies that have raised all this, and that's maybe a topic for another day. Is everybody's got identity stuff, but everybody's getting robbed.
Exactly. Well,
so what's the deal with that, Mr. Quayle?
The GSMA should keep away from web stuff. So like one API camera, they should keep away from. And on identity, again, I think, when the GSMA starts messing around with something that is, as far as I'm concerned, a web product, they've created something that you've got all the other web companies running basically around them because they're delivering something that delivers value in a flexible way to all the banks, all the aggregators that are focusing on identity, but within particular verticals, rather than racing after this. I'm trying to remember the name of the standard that they focus on. It's just, it works okay within the telco vertical. But the problem is there's so many web-based solutions that don't have any of the costs because you've got this whole battle when you're basically using.
Look, you got a convergence of fintech, banking, web, telco, identity, fraud, very complicated, but governments are mad. Consumers are upset.
Correct.
Banks, the minute banks. I met a guy at Dunkin' Donuts the other morning who was talking about whatever and podcasts and fraud. The guy lost 40 grand, gone. But what he did, he went and got his money out. He fought. This guy was an intelligent guy, run a construction company. He fought, somehow got his money back. But how many people haven't?
Exactly.
Right? Yep. So there's legislation in the USA. They're fighting big time in Australia.
Yes.
As far as, the government's saying, no, banks, you're half responsible for this.
Exactly.
So at some point, there has to be a break because you're talking about billions and billions of dollars, and let's not even get into cybersecurity.
Yes, yeah,
and the fraud going in there. But look, it's exciting podcast, and I think, look, I wanted to kind of cover your coming out the other day with that post. I think everybody should read his comments. I mean, Alan called people out on the way he should. People should call people out.
Yeah,
people shouldn't be quiet. If somebody does something to you, you should scream. If somebody did something to Bill Peters, we're screaming. He's fighting, we're screaming. You can't hide. There's no, I laugh. Who was the guy that said, I think it was Eddie DeCurtis, said, oh, don't speak against the echo chamber. What echo chamber? What? Crime? Criminals doing something to people is right? Defrauding grandma is right? At what point do we lose all our morals and values?
Yes,
If a company robs you, you can't sue them, go punch them in the face some other way. Right? If somebody does something wrong and you see them out there looking to rob somebody else, look, see something, say something.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. So I don't care. You don't stand up for yourself. So kudos to you, Mr. Quayle. And we'll get more into that.
Yes.
And
oh yeah.
I still love that. Tell you. My dream in life is to one day I'm going to go speak in the hallway at MEF.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get Pooja and Eric and Viz, and we're going to go speak in the hallway at the MEF event. Because they got vComs. So the MEF's got vComs. CPaaS AA's got vComs. vComs was promoted by Mr. Quayle. Don't make no mistake about it. He knew vCon Vinnie before any of you guys knew vCon Vinnie. Everybody knows Thomas McCarthy Howe. He's a legend in the industry, built other companies. But those two guys got together, and I've had the real pleasure of getting to know Vinnie as well as Thomas, and just amazing.
Oh yeah,
just an it's an amazing combination of two different sides of a brain that are working together. So it's really a partnership that I see, and I've been on calls with them. I'm like, man, you're like two people, but clicking here. It's just wonderful to see.
Yeah,
so
vCon is a great tech, and they
Yeah.
couldn't have had a better initial vertical to build out. So
Yeah, and
it's
they're speaking at Pulver's event soon. Jeff, start writing some stuff on monetization of this and
Oh, yeah.
who their competitors are in CX and that type of stuff. Let's build some excitement. Let's get on positive stuff.
Oh yeah, and don't
You know what I
forget
mean?
they were going to be, Thomas will be presenting, giving a keynote at TED Summit in October.
Yeah.
And we also have, we've got I think over 100 registrations for TED Hack, and they're going to be hacking.
Well, you're still the
vCon.
hack. You're still the hack king. And then we got Noah
exactly
providing he's working on some stuff right now there. I'm not allowed to talk about, but boy, he's just the designer himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But TNID is very exciting. We presented on it.
He's got some new twists, and he's working with some big players. And
exactly.
next time you see him, pretty soon you're going to see him coming out hard. So he's out there actively trying to solve the problems. Did you give me a thumbs down?
No.
On your screen? I just got a thumbs down on my screen. So somebody's thumbs down on us.
Maybe holding my hands like this is the wrong thing.
It's Thorsten. Thorsten broke into our podcast. And I just saw like a thumbs down. I'm like, I didn't touch anything. Thorsten, you playing again? Because he's still got that connection to Cinch, and he can just run traffic through that.
But I think Zoom is pretty protected from Thorsten because it's not in the messaging ecosystem or even on SSL.
Thorsten, he'll get you. He got you on that message.
But anyway, we did. It's for me. I think it's the best podcast with the Viz that we've done this year. I mean,
it was all him. What do you mean? We just the guy came on. I don't know. He was in a mood, and he just bang. You gotta watch this thing, guys, because it's important. It's important for you to take his perspective, whether you agree or disagree with him. You can't not respect
exactly
his spitting truths.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So thanks for that.